Oh yes, everybody, it is once again that time. We are coming to you live from the RMJ Studios. We've got Shayne McGuire, formerly from Voodoo Karma, in the house. This is Bar Stars Detroit. Cheers, my friends.
8 o'clock on Friday night, I'm loading up my car. Driving to the show, man, I forgot my guitar. Mama always told me that I'd never go far. Well, screw that, I'm a bar star.
All right, everybody. Bar Stars Detroit, episode number 2. Want to say thank you very much to everybody who listened to the first episode. Got about 150 listens or so up to date, which is actually pretty good considering this is just kind of a little local scene here. And I noticed YouTube was not counting me anytime I refreshed the page to see if it would maybe bump the plays up. It was not counting me. It only counted me one time, so that's a good thing. We appreciate everyone listening. Everyone had some pretty positive feedback. I didn't hear any negative feedback whatsoever. What about you, Ricky?
Yeah, no, it looked good. Thankfully.
Thankfully, yeah. I was worried. I was waiting for someone to get offended over something.
What are these jabrones trying to do here?
Yeah. Someone be like, I know they're talking about me. I know that's me they're talking about. We want to say thank you to everybody. We want to say thank you to our buddy Travis Stong for the artwork. He made our logo. You can find him on Instagram at tra.v.art, Facebook at Travis, Travis, Stong, S-T-O-N-G, not strong, Stong, S-T-O-N-G. Do not put the fucking R in there. Do not.
It's real common.
He's also got an email at Travis M. Stong, S-T-O-N-G, no R, again, at gmail.com. I say that because I know somebody with that last name, and people misspell it all the time.
Yeah, or I know we were talking about on that first episode on how we were going to get our social media up, so
Yes,
which we did.
Yes, we did.
So
you did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Catch us on Facebook at handle Bar Stars DET, which is short for Detroit.
Good.
Our Twitter, same, at Bar Stars DET.
No R. Wait, there is an R on bar. Sorry.
Or or you can email us at barstarsdet@yahoo.com if you have any questions or complaints.
Yes, that's where it is at, because we're here for you. If you have complaints, be sure to voice every one of them. If you have questions, we will read them on the air if we think they are good enough, and your name will be immortalized on this podcast to the rest of the time. So, last podcast, the first one, everything went surprisingly well, and we had never done this before, anything like this. I have no radio experience, neither does Ricky, so everything went relatively smooth for that, other than I do say a lot, and I still haven't broken from that, but I'm trying. I'm being conscientious about it. A couple times we misspoke. There was one point where I was talking about being in a cover band and being happy to be playing other people's music and getting paid. And I think I said, I'm playing my own music and getting paid, so I'm happy. But what I meant was, no, I'm not playing my own music, but at least I still get to perform and play other people's music. I can still be on stage, and I'm getting paid for it, so it's awesome. But there was one other spot where there was a bit of a spoken word here when we were talking about our friend who skinny dipped in the St. Clair River, I believe that is, and his junk was frozen and steaming, according to Ricky. I did not look at his junk, but Ricky
I don't know,
saw
man.
his steaming junk.
We because we were talking about it so much, I had to go back and pull up actual video footage of it.
Was okay.
No.
Oh no.
So I'm not saying you were sitting there looking at it, but there was we had no choice but to see this dude butt naked.
Perhaps I suppressed that memory, I think is what happened.
As he's sitting there quietly, give me my pants.
That's some Buffalo Bill style shit right there.
Rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Because we were scared that the cops were showing up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, at one point in there, you said that you said his junk was, I think you meant inverted. But you said introverted.
Yeah.
Which means that there's like some emotional scarring to his junk during that moment.
Well,
so I'm slightly concerned, and I think we should call him to check on his
shy wing.
His shy, antisocial wang, yes.
Well, it could be the same thing because it was hiding, so it was shy.
Yeah, maybe, but it just seems, I mean, it does apply, I suppose, but I think we should give him a call because I want to check on it, make sure he's okay. Yeah, can you got his number?
All right. What if he answers?
Well, hopefully he does, because I need to know if he got therapy or something.
This is Reverend Schofield.
Schofield, you are on the air, buddy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me loud and clear?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so in our last episode, Ricky said something that made me concerned. I wanted to call and check on you. He said your junk was not inverted, but in fact introverted, which means that it after that event where you skinny dipped in the river, your junk became antisocial. Didn't want to go out, didn't want to come out and play, and I'm just wondering if everything's okay now.
Well, after years of therapy with little Jim, he did come out to play, and I now have 2 children.
Yes! Okay, yeah. I figured those kids were yours, but then once I heard that it was introverted, I was wondering. So glad to know, man. Glad to know. We just wanted to call and check up on you.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Hope you're doing all right. There's plenty of other stories we're gonna have. We're gonna have to get you in here and talk about them live.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna get embarrassed time and time again. That's what happens.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks so much, man. Yeah. Enjoy your weekend.
You too, man.
All right. Peace.
I love the show.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
That went smooth. I was expecting to either not get an answer or he would. Luckily, it's Saturday. I didn't want the Reverend to be in church having to talk about that. But anyway, moving on. We've got our buddy Shayne McGuire in the studio, formerly of Voodoo Karma. Shayne, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, it's going great. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, anytime, man. I figured that you would be the perfect first guy in here for many reasons. One, I mean, obviously you've done the cover thing a little while now. You're looking to move onward and upward here, and you're leaving Michigan.
I am.
To go be in Nashville and pursue this full time. So
I sure am.
That's awesome.
I'm working on it.
You're going to make it happen, man. I have faith.
Thank you.
I think a lot of us are going to envy you, so keep us posted, keep in touch.
Absolutely.
And you said you're going to get a blog started, right?
I am.
So
yep.
You have a website. Will it be on the website?
Yeah, I'll link it. Right now I have another blog up there. It's just like talking about horror movies, but I want to do I want to do the regular man's journey from here to Nashville. So, I didn't come from, I don't have famous music parents. I don't have, tons of money. I don't have any privileges. So I think it would be kind of cool to hear someone who's just, playing at Rusty Nail every weekend, trying to expand it. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and the story's going to start with this one time I was on a podcast called Bar Stars Detroit,
exactly.
And that opened everything up for me.
Exactly.
So, hey, a little bit off the topic. What's your movie blog right now?
Oh, it doesn't really have a title, but it's just kind of like reviewing horror movies. Because people always ask me because I live and breathe that stuff.
Yeah, dude.
So people are always
awesome.
like, "Oh, what'd you think of this one? What'd you think of this one?" So I was like, "Oh, I'll write about it. See what happens." People seem to like it.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Isn't your dog named after a horror
He
movie
is.
character?
My little Brahms. Yeah.
Brahms,
from
yes.
that movie. From that movie, The Boy. I hated the movie. I thought it was terrible, but I thought it was a really cool name.
It's a great name. I just saw the movie recently. I wasn't.
Because I'm a big movie buff, and I really like horror films too. And I know Danny likes. We grew up on classic horror films. What's your favorite?
I have a lot. I think I always have to attribute it to probably Stephen King's Cujo.
Oh, okay.
Because that movie, when I was a kid, that movie traumatized me. And my mom would like play it over. She showed me it when I was like 6. And I was like way too young. And she would just play it. She'd play it over and over and over again. I would cry the whole time. I would cry, just be full on tears. And my mom thought it was hilarious. So she would just constantly play it over and over. And now, like to this day, I'm a huge dog person. But in the back of my mind, I'm always like,
That's why you got such a little dog.
I'm like, exactly, because I'm like, if he goes rabies on me, I can punt him. Like, I can't. That's why I'm always like, when I go to the vet, I'm like, does he need his rabies shots? Because even if he doesn't, he does.
Dog gets a rabies shot every year.
I think I got to give it to that.
What's your first one?
My first horror movie?
Well, that you remember at a young, say you were at a young age.
The first horror movies I watched at a young age was on Friday the 13th. They would play all the Jason films or the Friday the 13th films on USA. So they were edited. So I was like 8 or 9. I could watch them, and the gruesome murder scenes were kind of edited out, and the swearing and the nudity. So that was probably first. And then I'd say the first horror movies that I watched uncensored were about a year or two later. And that was Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah. And that's my favorite to this day.
Dude. Robert Englund, man.
All of them.
Yeah, I think my first was Stephen King's It.
Yeah.
I remember at a young age. Then one of those, kind of like what Shane was talking about, is it was a Halloween night, and I believe I was with my dad this time, and I was young, and it was on real late at night, and I was up still, and for whatever reason, it wasn't unedited. Yeah. So I don't know if it was maybe
on Showtime
or something, And one of the things where I'll never forget where it was a Friday the 13th. I can't remember which one it was. Maybe 2 or 3. And there was a part where I'm like, "Oh my God." And it like scarred me.
There's a lot of scarring parts in those movies.
Like, someone getting their guts ripped out.
That's the best part.
I think it was just Stephen King for me, too, because my mom did the same thing with The Shining, and then she did the same thing with Pet Sematary.
Oh,
so it's like basically Stephen King ruined my childhood.
I feel like Ricky's son resembles the kid in Pet Sematary a little bit.
Perfect.
Yeah. Like,
remind me to not go upstairs.
Oh, no, you're going. Take a good look at him and see. He's an adorable kid. That kid in the movie's adorable. He's on Full House, too.
Yeah, he's going to grab a scalpel.
And cut your Achilles.
Yeah.
Oh. But anyway, we should start a horror movie podcast. Shane would have to host that.
I'm in.
He's the expert.
I'm down.
We'll Skype him.
There we go. But I've got 2 drummers down here, really. I mean, Ricky's multi-instrumentalist. Do you play other instruments, Shane? Or
I played clarinet for 11 years.
Hell yeah.
Could I still? I wish I could still. I mean, I can still read the music. I just wish I could still play it because it's...
The mouth goes away on instruments
I think I took it for granted when I was growing. I'm like, nobody wants to listen to this. But now as I'm older, I'm like, if I was shredding the clarinet right now, people would be like, oh my God.
Right?
This is crazy. He's only, how old is he? Like...
And now for some soothing sounds from Squidward's clarinet. Thank you.
Hey, Danny used to rock the tuba.
Yeah, I did.
That's awesome.
And then I grew into looking like a tuba player. I didn't look like a tuba player until I started playing, and then I just started blowing up.
Actually, you first rocked the trumpet. The trumpet!
Yes, I did.
Anything with a spit trap.
Yes, I love just releasing that
so
thing.
Because clarinets always sat in front of like tubas and trumpets, so it was just like behind my seat, just puddles, just spit. It was so nasty.
Was there carpet? We had carpet in our band.
No,
room.
we had tile floor. It was disgusting.
You'd think there'd be a better way, but that's really interesting actually because Ricky played snare drum all through band and stuff like that all through school. So you played clarinet, so you were not a drummer in high school, were you?
I was not.
When
I always now I wish I was, but I never. I was fascinated by it all the time. Like I would wake up early at band camp because I wanted to hear the drum line running through the cadences. It was so cool. I was fascinated. I just never did it. I don't know.
I wanted to be a drummer, and my parents said, "Fuck you." They were just like, "No, you're not. We're not listening to that."
I think that's most parents, dude.
Probably.
Like,
it's obnoxious.
Obnoxious, loud noises.
Right.
Especially when it's just the snare at the one time. Just snare rudiments for 4 hours.
Yeah. And my parents weren't actually that mean about it. They were just kind of like, nah, maybe something else. And I wanted to play the snare drum in band, and somehow I ended up with trumpet. I don't know how.
The trumpet!
But yeah, so what drew you? Obviously, you had a fascination with the drums, but what drew you to that to where you're like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm getting a set and I'm doing this.
As a kid, did you ever like a lot of kids would take out their parents' pots and pans? Did you ever do that?
I had one of those like little mini kits. Like over there's a picture of me. It was like wasn't even one of those. It was like the really toy kind.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long I played on that thing, but my grandpa was a professional jazz drummer in Chicago. He backed a 12-piece jazz band for I don't know how long it was. That's but cool. Unfortunately, I never got to see him play before he passed, but I don't know. I think that was probably part of it. And then also Rock Band for PS4 or PS3 at the time, I guess it was. That's
really?
What drew me. Yeah, and that's actually how I learned how to play on Rock Band. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story, but it worked.
That's incredibly interesting. Can I ask your age on here? I
29.
Know, okay.
29, yeah.
I think when I met you, you were 26 or 27, and in my mind, you just stayed that age. Because as I age, time moves fast. It's like, I don't know if I met you 3 years or 3 months ago.
But 3 years, I think.
Yeah, I'd say so, because it wasn't long after you joined Voodoo.
So how long have you actually been playing drums?
About 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah. I got my first actual kit. I think it was senior year or right out of high school. I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever that was. So that's 2007.
Well, you never ended up playing drums in school?
No.
Okay.
No, clarinet until senior year.
Wow, that's interesting,
Yeah.
man.
It's very interesting.
I've never heard that.
I mean, it's cool because now I can read. I mean, it's not drum music, but I can read music.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
Yeah,
cool. And
for
then
sure.
I took a few piano classes in college. So it made that a lot easier, too, because all I had to do was learn the bass clef.
Right.
So it made things a lot easier, but no drums until after graduation.
That's amazing. I don't know why it is.
And I think that's when Rock Band came out. I think
Yeah.
it came out in 2007.
It's kind of funny because, like, a lot of people... Because I think even, like, a lot of times I'll say things like, oh, your generation, my generation, which technically we're from the same generation. But I always feel like a high school term is almost like a generation. Like, my 4 years in high school were much... Times were different than the people who were 4 years after me and before me. So, like, to us, it was kind of like, yeah, we like Rock Band and stuff, but at the same time... There's like that South Park episode where I'm not that familiar with South Park, but I remember seeing this episode where like the dad, they're all playing Guitar Hero, and the dad like kicks open the door. He's got a real guitar.
Yeah.
He's like, check this out, and he's playing, and they just look at him like, okay, and then they go back like it's all about getting the high score, and so to us it was kind of like, man, like. This is going to kill musicianship in a way.
Yeah.
Kids are never going to want to learn real instruments. They're just going to play these 4 buttons and these fake drums. But that's totally what got you going.
Yeah.
So that's totally debunks our theory.
And I turned it into, those were my drum lessons.
It's amazing. Did you end up taking any drum lessons later on? Okay.
No, taught myself the whole way, all the way through. I mean, I watched a lot of, I think freedrumlessons.com was a thing back then. I don't know if it still is. I think it might just be Drumeo now. I don't know. But back then, that really helped. They had like sections for rudiments, and they had sections for a lot of the basic stuff, which I watched a lot of. But other than that, it was just myself.
Wow. Band-wise, when did you join your first band?
It was Voodoo Karma.
Voodoo was your first band?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is, it's crazy. I mean, I was in a screamo thing for a few months, but it just wasn't creative differences. And one of those things where they're like, this is the guitar lick that's going to work. And I'm like, well, I can't physically do that transition on the drums. But it was just, butting heads a little bit. But no, that never went anywhere. We had a couple songs, but it never. So all of my playing was in my mom's basement or with like a couple friends who would play guitar, but it never was. Never on stage. I used to have a lot of house parties, and I would just like sit down on the drums at the house party and be wasted and play drums, and people would be like, yeah, it's awesome.
It's kind of sweet. But you didn't have a band around you. You're just playing the drums.
I did that for hours a day for years until that band, yep.
That probably explains, because, I mean, you have a pretty solid meter when you play, at least as far as I can tell. I'm not a human metronome by any means, but like I'll sit there and sway, and I can usually feel if like something speeds up or slows down. Your meter's usually pretty solid, and it's probably because of that. Obviously, majority of recorded music that's popular is all on a click, so if you're spending all your time just playing along with that,
right? Like a part of me was like, I wish I would have started earlier, like out in the scene. But then someone once said to me, they're like, well, you might not have the skills you have now then if you started way earlier. And I'm like, well, you're right, because I just for hours just hammered away in the basement, because I worked retail for years, so I would have 3 days off, 4 days off in a week,
right?
Those retail hours, you get 14 hours a week.
Oh yeah.
So
we were there.
So I would have all those days off, and that's all I would do, just wake up and just do that for hours.
Wow, that's interesting, because like as probably we talked about in the last episode, we kind of, soon as we were capable of playing out, we were playing out, and made a lot of the mistakes right in the public eye, I guess. So where you really honed it, and that's all really interesting to me, because I think there's a level of maturity, musical maturity. So at any age that you start playing, you still have to go through those musical maturity steps. And I feel like, because I would have thought you were playing until now. I didn't find this out till now. I would have thought you've been playing since you could hold drumsticks.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's because too, like you have discipline and things like that. A lot of times we go through phases where we want to. Every instrument, it's like, what can I do? I want to go into business for myself a little bit. What can I do here? Whereas you're always, I can see like on your face, you're focusing, you're just making sure everything sounds tight when you're playing. So.
Yeah. Well, and also too, at least he had music theory and everything already incorporated in him beforehand.
Yeah. So you learned dynamics, and you learned a lot of that stuff. So
it's not like he just, came off the street and was like, I don't have any musical ability, but I want to play drums right now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
It's cool. You're right about those, like, maturity levels. Drummers especially. I know especially. Yeah. You go through this, like, now I have to have a double bass pedal, and everything has to be double bass. And then, like, you're playing Stone Temple Pilots, but you're going, like, you can't, you go through that phase, and then you go through the next phase where you're like, I want 3 China cymbals and 4 splash cymbals. And then it's like everyone does that. And I feel like I got to do it not in the public eye, which is cool.
In junior high, man, I had the whole giant Gibraltar rack, as many times as you can get. Bunch of cymbals everywhere.
You lugged that about 5 or 6 times.
That was it.
You were like, yep.
No, I would have done it twice. Like, this is it.
Yeah, I think being younger, maybe you have more of that drive. I've noticed that, especially with drummers that don't play out a lot. I'll see their practice space. Like, they'll take a picture on Facebook and post it, and it's like, they're practicing with a drum stage in the basement with a rack
With lights.
around everything, and it's like it's cool. Like, I mean, if you're having a good time, some bands, that's just what it is. It's like, this is, you know, Thursday night, Tuesday night, whenever we get together, that's our night. We're jamming, but it's like, man, when you're lugging that shit back and forth everywhere, it's like, okay, snare, bass pedal, hi-hat, and a cymbal,
Right.
some people, you know, whatever works.
Or E-Kit.
Or
that.
It's good for practicing.
Yeah, absolutely. They absolutely are.
And then you're not, you know, bugging everybody.
Oh, yeah. I remember your dad's band used to sit there and practice with no... Because they were playing every weekend, so I'd come over sometimes. They'd be in the living room.
Yeah.
No PA. Due to be on an E-kit or sometimes just on a pad. And they were just playing real soft and no mics, nothing. It sounded awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Had a nice echoey living room there. But yeah, all of that's very interesting. And yes, the musical maturity thing is it's pretty amazing. You kind of went through that. I think you went through that on Fast Forward is what must have happened. So that's a good thing. Who are you influenced by? And maybe even, obviously, you were playing Rock Band and stuff like that, but was there a drummer when you first started that you were like, I want to be like that guy?
I think there was a few. I think back then, when my maturity level was a little lower, before I went through all those phases, I was like really into those super, like Marco Miniman. I think that's how you say his, I don't know, some super foreign guy. I don't know, he plays
super foreign guy.
I don't know how to say his name, but he like, there was a video that came out, I think in 2007, where he was doing all this like crazy technical stuff to loops, like sample loops, and they were dialogue loops. So there would be like, he had one where it was Bender from Futurama, and he's like, bite my shiny metal ass, but he would play different drum styles to that, and it like blew my mind. I was like, this is insane, and it was crazy that he could find the meter in dialogue. And it was just crazy to me. But now it's more like, now I've changed a little bit. Now it's more like Charlie Watts from the Stones is my dude.
Yeah,
him and Max Weinberg from Springsteen, those are my dudes right there. And it's
Max
just,
Weinberg.
people are always like, Charlie Watts, guy sucks. I'm like, no, he doesn't, not even close. I'm like,
he's laying that groove,
and he's cool as hell, and he's 250 years old. It's just,
he's died twice.
I know. It's cool as hell, and he's still playing, you know, with that grip in his left hand. Like, you don't see that anymore, and it's cool as hell.
Somebody, actually, no, it'd be both of them. Actually, I think my two favorite drummers when I was young, growing up, who I idolized, would be Keith Moon, and Buddy Rich. That was my two.
Buddy Rich, oh my God, forgive me, but what band did Buddy Rich play in?
Buddy Rich, big band.
Yeah, man.
Just big band.
We're talking. We're long time.
I knew the name. I just wasn't sure if he was
old school.
Okay.
And he was a nutcase too. Yeah, there's all these recordings on YouTube of him like just screaming at his band members on the bus, and it's just hilarious. You have to listen to it. That guy was something else.
I love that stuff.
So yeah, I don't know if that influenced me in a psycho way.
I love Chad Smith too. Chad Smith is another big one for me.
He's great.
And it's just the stuff that guy does with the drums he has is insane to me.
I mean, that band just has sick groove. Yeah. There's not a groove like it. And obviously the drummer is the guy responsible for that. Of course, Flea and all the instruments on top of it as well create groove, but the drums are, of course, the foundation of it all.
And there's an old video of him and Flea, too, just rocking out. It's insane. And my favorite part of the whole video is, like, Chad Smith is just pounding out these beats, and he's going crazy on the kick pedal, and then he looks at the camera, and he's like, all right, kids, just so you know, that's only one kick pedal. Don't try that at home or you hurt yourself. And I was like, that's awesome. I'm like, that's what I want to be like. It's just, he just honed that in. It's just crazy.
There's Coheed and Cambria, the drummer. Josh,
yes. Where did he come from? Dillinger, right?
Well, he actually, it's weird. He was in Coheed first, and then he left Coheed and went to Dillinger, and then came back to Coheed. he deliberately, and I always loved his groove. Like, if you listen, he's got a great groove.
It's weird because he's like kind of technically left-handed.
Yes.
But he plays his kit right-handed.
I didn't know that.
And he plays everything's open-handed.
Open-handed, that's cool.
Yes. I remember him saying, because the drummer Coheed had in between his reigns used the double bass pedal.
Yeah.
And it was kind of that thing you're talking about where it's like, I went and saw him live a couple times and he's throwing it in places where it's not, and it's flattening the groove out.
And their music, you can't throw in stuff that's you're not supposed to.
No,
you're gonna hear it.
Exactly. And I remember Josh in an interview saying something about that. He's like, I won't set one up because I'll be tempted to use it, and really, I'm more focused on the groove than that. Not that you can't get a groove out of double bass, you can, but I think that's exactly it. Double bass obviously creates less space, and groove is space. That's really what it is. So, I don't know. I always found that to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, dude, for the longest time growing up, and then even when we started CFY and got into more progressive, harder music, I started off still using a single pedal.
Yeah.
I didn't. It wasn't until after that until I got into a double pedal, and then kind of slowly incorporated it.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
And there is always a place for it. There's certain bands that's their bread and butter, is that.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
But, so, I guess we've kind of, I obviously prepped some things. We've kind of answered some of these questions as we went. But I guess I'll still ask, because you could have chosen to join another Screamo band. What was it that drew you to the cover world? Was it just you saw an ad and you're like, give this a try, or?
I just wanted to get out there.
Okay.
And I knew that was the way to do it. And then I had seen there were starting to be like jam nights around the area, and I was like, I need to go do that, and then people will know who I am. So it was, I mean, I'm assuming we can say band, because Planet of Fun was doing.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Planet of Fun was doing their open jam with the band at Cicerelli's.
Yep.
And they were doing that in like 2016, so I just started going there, and then that's how Tony and Emily found me too.
Oh, okay.
Emily just came over and she was like, "Hey, are you in a band?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "You want to audition?" I'm like,
be
"Sure."
in a band?
And that was it. But I had a revelation where I'm like, I just want to play. And I was in all these different colleges for all these different majors, and I just kept failing out, and I'm like, I just want to play. So then I started doing that. I was like, well, that's...
We totally feel you on that, bro.
I think I did, what was it, 4 colleges and 5 majors.
Wow.
And it was
Holy
just,
smokes.
yeah. I mean, I learned a lot doing all those. It was cool. They were all artsy schools and artsy fields, like photography and stuff like that, which is cool. But I couldn't do it. I could not do it.
It's hard when you're all you're thinking about is getting on stage.
I got a funny story, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, kind of along the same lines, I went through band and playing my whole life through school, and then and Danny did too. And then he was in theater and choir, and so he was along more of those lines, and I was in the band part. So we ended up, after we graduated, we both went to Oakland University. And I was in the music program, and I was trying to get my major in music performance. And then he was theater, right?
Yep, theater and music.
Okay. So
I can picture you in the choir.
Total nerd. No, I'm kidding.
Listen, I just had to get away from the fucking tuba.
Total drama nerd, man. So anyways, we're doing our thing, dude, and then we're even in a class, this giant class. What was it called?
It was like a music history class. We should have aced it.
We should have, but we didn't. It started first thing 8:00 in the morning on the dot, man, and we were tired.
Well, not only were we tired, but it was the day of the final. We had no work. All we had to do was take a final.
Well, hold on. Before that, I was thinking of, like, we were those guys sitting up in the corner up all the way top.
Yeah.
All the way up in the top.
Hell yeah, we were.
And we're like, dude, this sucks. Because first thing in the morning, we're hearing monks and shit singing. We're like, what the fuck?
And yeah, we would just be like writing frickin' things down to communicate and showing each other notes of things that we wanted to say to each other. And then we get out of there, and I don't know that we learned much of anything. And then there was a final.
Oh, God.
And we're used to being pampered from high school, so we didn't buy our Scantrons. So we're like, oh, shit. So we're like, whatever, we'll run to the library, we'll buy Scantrons, we'll come back, we'll be a couple minutes late, we'll take the test. We go, we buy the Scantrons, we come back, everyone's leaving the class. The test is over.
Yeah, it was perfect timing, right when we were, what?
So we got in line with everyone walking out, and we just walked out and pretended like we took it. We were like, man, that test was hard. And I remember there was like a cubbyhole stairway thing that we slipped into, and there's two little chairs facing each other, and we just kind of sat down and stared at each other for like 2 minutes.
Realization.
Yes.
Of like, this is not for us. And at the time it wasn't,
No, dude, because that time we were already had our CFY going since 2005, and it was always like, it was always on our mind all the time. That's all we were doing. And all that was just in school. We were just like,
just doing it to make our parents happy at the time, I think.
It had no interest
None.
at all.
None. I think that's the weirdest thing about musicians. I shouldn't say weirdest. That's, to us it's not weird, but to the rest of the world it's weird, because if you're not a musician, you'll never understand a musician's priorities ever. Like we're willing to sacrifice things and time, and people don't get it. It's like, I have to get this in, regardless of what else is happening. I have to get this in some way, somehow. I can't get too busy for this. I can't get a day job that interferes with this. Almost no matter what it pays. Some people think it's crazy. Well, you can make X amount an hour. Well, am I going to be on call on the weekends? Probably. Can't do that job.
Right.
I can't fucking do that job because...
You got to let it out, man.
Yeah. I that's exactly it. It's in you. It's got to come out.
You are destroying your life with that garbage. All right, Mr. Sister. I want you to tell me, no, better yet, stand up and tell the class, what do you want to do with your life? I want to rock! I want to rock!
And then plus two, I had these music classes, like, one of them was a private tutoring class or something. It was just me and one of the professors, and one day we were talking, and I'm sitting there doing, I don't know, like timpani shit or marimba or some shit, and he's like, we were talking about my major, and he's like, so music performance, right? Yeah, because there was a couple different options and shit, and at the time, dude, I really wish there was studio engineering. There wasn't back then, and because that's what I totally would have went for. But besides that, he was like, well, I'm going to be honest with you. Oh, great.
That's not good.
Yeah. He's like, we all come in and we all do that. We get our major in performance and stuff. But honestly, man, it's really, really hard to continuously have work and get a full-time job. Because, he's talking about, picking up church gigs and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, and we basically all come back and get our teaching degree. And I'm like, first off, I can teach it, but I hate it. I don't like teaching. I was like, I like playing.
Yep.
So that right there completely threw me for like, all right, so why am I here? And that's basically around the same time where we're just like, all right. So we did like 2 years of college, and we're like, well, I don't think this is for us.
I did a lot. I did probably 7 years.
Did you get a degree?
Nope. I never got one. College to college, major to major, never one. Never did it. I couldn't last long enough.
No.
I just couldn't do it. I'm not a school person. My sister is a school person.
So's mine.
I'm not a school. I can't do it. My sister's already got a degree in psychology. Now she's in law school. Like, my sister can do it. I can't. I just can't.
I understand.
Not for everybody.
I'm at a point now where I'm debating on going back for something, because I think now at 32 years old, I might have the focus, maybe, because I'm not dreaming that I'm going to become a rock star.
Right.
But either way, I don't know, though. I might get back into it and be the same thing. I might be sitting there being like, I'm playing a gig tomorrow.
Dude, I mean, we had a teacher straight up, said that it's not for everybody.
No, and I had the coolest teachers like that. Like, I went to the Art Institute for a while, and they had music programs and stuff like that, and they were studio engineering programs too, which you would have loved.
Yeah.
But it was just, they would tell you, they're like, this is not going to be for everybody. And I'm like, people didn't get it. Like, my mom didn't get it. She's like, you're in a music major. What do you mean you don't like it? I'm like, it's what you were saying, Danny. They don't understand it. You have to feel it, and it's
right.
No, I want it.
If you're not a musician, you can't really.
It's an addiction. It's an addiction, much healthier addiction than a lot of others, I suppose, depending on how much you let the lifestyle take over, which I have been guilty of letting it take over too much.
I'm not trying
once
to be
in a while,
Steven Adler.
Right, no, exactly. So I guess back to kind of band talk, because you're, just talking about different stages in life like we are, and different things you've done. You're embarking on a new stage here. You're going to be moving soon to Nashville, and you're bandless at the moment because of that move. It's by choice. What is it, be it there or here or anywhere, what do you look for in a band? If you're going to join, what is it that you would need to see? What do you expect from them, I guess?
I feel like people don't give enough credit to, like, the vibe of the band, because this isn't, like, being on the drums in the back, you're almost like the center of the energy as well. People don't realize that. You're not just the meter and you're not the beat. You're like, if you notice a lot of bands, like, playing in Voodoo, like, you would notice Bob and Jay are always standing, if we're at Freddy's, they're always standing on the riser playing with me, jamming with. That's why I feel like I need to see that, because I'm kind of like, I guess I kind of play like Dave Grohl back when he's in Nirvana. Like, he's a madman sometimes, and if you're the only one doing it, it's awkward and weird, and I feel like that's what I need to look for, and obviously I need to like the music too. I've auditioned for a few other bands around here, and they liked me, but I'm like, I'm not gonna work my ass off on this music that I don't love. I'm just bowing out, fairly.
Right. That makes sense too, and that's a good thing, because there's a lot of guys that they're just looking for a gig, and when they get it, they're not happy, and you waste a lot of time doing that. It's just better to be honest with yourself. But you know what? Maybe they think I'm a good fit, but I don't. They're not a good fit for me.
And that specific person, that band that I auditioned for, their guy had called me, and when I told him, I'm like, I don't think it's, for me. He actually said, he's like, well, I appreciate you staying true to yourself. You know what you want. And I'm like, you have to.
Right.
You always have to. I think that's and any musician almost can look back. I think it's something I look back on at times where it's like, you compromise yourself a little bit when you do certain things, and the older you get, the less time you have in general, but the less time you have for stuff like that, to do things you don't want to do.
And I think you can a little bit. Like, you take a cover band gig for a weekend, and it's going to be a bunch of shit you don't like, but you just do it for the weekend. And you can't compromise everything.
Right, you're not married to that situation.
Like, if I known, like, oh, this band's going to be playing in California next month, I could be on the road. But I didn't like the, I don't like the music, so... I'm not into it, so you don't want to compromise too much.
No, I agree 100%. Now, are you moving to Nashville, are you looking for, you're probably looking for a lot of different things. Obviously, especially getting there, you're taking a big risk, and, I mean, that's the way it's got to be. I think anybody who makes it anywhere far in life takes risks. So you're taking a big risk, so I'm sure you're going to kind of have to land where you land at times in order to reach your ultimate goal. But I guess, what is it that you're looking for specifically? Are you looking to just be able to play full time and have that be your job? So that's it. However you can do it.
I don't know like what it could be. It could just be like Nashville's a town where there's a lot of house bands. Where like the BB King Club, they have the BB King All Stars and they play every night, and the musicians like circulate. But a lot of times, you know, it could be the same guys. And I'm just looking just something comfortable. I'm not going down there like I'm going to play the Bridgestone Arena, you know, next year, you know, with Eric Church. Like I don't know. That's not going to, you know, not a realistic. It could happen. I don't know. But I'm just looking for something comfortable. I don't know what it would be. Studio, live. Like, I don't know. I think you have to carve out your own niche, too.
Sure.
Like you have to know, like, I know I can tell you I'm definitely a live drummer. So I'd be better on stage. Not saying I couldn't do a studio. And if I'm offered it, I will, obviously. I think you have to know where you're coming from, too. So you know what kind of product you're selling. Like, I can tell you, I'm definitely a live drummer. And I can tell you I specialize in rock or pop. Or, you know, some country. But I'm just looking something comfortable. I don't know what it's going to be. It could be a house band gig. Same bar 5 nights a week. But if it's paying the bills, it's paying the bills. And
that's all that matters.
Just something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't really speak what specifically.
Well, and I guess that's a good attitude to have. I just wasn't sure if you had your eye on a certain prize or anything like that. And the thing is down there you're going to be running in some good circles,
right?
You know, so even if you're just playing in a house band thing, and I don't mean to say just in a way like it's anything bad, because down there it's just top notch quality. To play in a house band in an area like that is pretty honorable, you know. So. But you're running in the same circles as some of these big guys that used to run in those circles.
I think I tell you, I don't know if I told you outside of here about Tim McGraw's drummer.
Yes.
I met him one time in Nashville. We were down there, I think 2 years ago for Halloween, and the place was just crazy, like more crazy than normal because it was Halloween. And we walked into this bar. I was like, there's a blues band. I need to go. I'm a big blues guy, so I dragged my roommates. I'm like, we're going to go in. I want to see this band for a little bit. Like, okay, whatever. And we were hammered, obviously. And they like took a set break, and I like ran up on stage. I never do that. I like ran up on stage as soon as they were done. I'm like, you guys are awesome. Oh, fuck yeah. And I get to the drummer, I shake his hand, and I'm like, yeah, you're fucking awesome, man. You know, I play back home in Michigan. And he was like, oh, you want to play? He's like, I'll call you up next set. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it. So I'm like, Ryan Lee, we got to stay, man. We got to stay. He's going to let me play. I want to do this. And so we're hanging out waiting, and my buddy Ryan goes, dude, did you see that guy's road case? And I was like, no, I didn't even notice. Why? He's like, it says Tim McGraw on it. And I was like, no, there's no way. And I'm like, you know, you're in Nashville. These bars got little memorabilia on the windows, like just to kind of, and so we Googled him, and I actually knew who he was. I just didn't recognize him, maybe because I was hammered. But it's Billy Mason. The guy's been playing for Tim McGraw, or was for like 25 years. So this guy who's been playing for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people for 30 years. He's just in that bar, and he called me up and like let me go. Like, that's what does not happen around here. That's the difference right there.
That's
insane.
The reason why people move. You know, some people think it's good to move. Some people are against it. They're like, no, you know, just it'll find you if it finds you. I can see both those points of view, but ultimately I do think you got to go where those people are, because that's how you're going to get their eyes on you and ears and everything else. You're much more likely to have somebody walk into a place like that down there in Nashville that has like importance.
Kid Rock walks around down there by himself and does karaoke, like no posse, no security. Like, he just walks around.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like...
Exactly. You really don't
you
get
don't
that.
see Kid Rock walking down Grossbeck.
Maybe 30 years ago.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I've seen pictures of him on the Rusty Nail stage.
Oh yeah,
and that's a shame, dude. I really wish, you know, you people. Oh, Detroit, Rock City, man. And
I know it's sad.
Nothing like how these other major cities are.
And that's why I tell people too. They're like, "Oh, you're leaving, huh?" And you're like, "Oh, it's Detroit, though." I'm like, "Yeah, well, sadly, I hate to say it, but it's not Motown anymore.
Yeah, dude.
It's not. Yeah. So you have to, like Danny was saying, you have to go where the people.
And what we were talking about on the first episode with our original band is we were playing with these other bands consistently that a few made it because they were constantly going to LA and meeting the right people, cutting records, yada yada, and we couldn't do that.
No, we didn't have the means, and just again, I mean, a lot of those guys still don't have families or anything like that. That's something we kind of started to have, and at that point, which is why, I mean, you don't have children or anything like that. So I think a lot of us that do, you know, obviously I would never trade my child for the world, but it's like I that's something where it's like, man, like I'm rooting for you even stronger because it's like I didn't get the opportunity to really do that. So I'm hoping that it'll work out. I'm confident.
I mean, I wish we could have. That's what our heart was always set on. Yeah. You know, but you know what, dude? Life didn't deal us those cards. No. I mean, who knows? You never know what might happen, but you know, you never know.
And I feel like I'm content. Like,
yeah. I was gonna say that. I mean, I guess we're content, but
you know, that's something people will sometimes try to twist your words and say, well, you say you wish you could have done this and you didn't. You don't love your kids. You don't love your family. It's like, fuck you. Number one, fuck you. Number two, no, you can still have things that you missed out on that you wish you could have done. It doesn't mean you would trade what you have for the world. I like being a bar star, quote unquote, self-promotion right there on my own podcast or whatever. But I like that. I like that, you know, I kind of get a taste of that, but at the same time, I don't have people sliding napkins under the the freaking stall when I'm taking a shit for me to sign like Eminem talks about. I don't know that I could live that life and be on the road for long extended periods of time. Who knows? Maybe I would love it. But I think for the most part, I'm okay with being able to walk into a bar any given night and there's, you know, a handful of people who know me and I'm like, hell yeah.
It's a great feeling. It is.
But it goes away the second you walk out of those doors. Right. It was about 3 or 4 months ago. I was with my daughter and we drove by a bar that I was playing at that weekend. So the name was on the marquee. So I pointed, I was like, that's Daddy's band. And then she's like, oh, okay. And then we're driving a little while longer. Well, we're driving a little while longer, probably another 5 minutes or so. And I pull into a Target parking lot because we were going to Target. And she's like,
my favorite place.
It's everybody's favorite place. And she's like, Dad, are you famous? And I was like, no, not really. And she's like, but you're kind of famous, right? And I was like, I'm famous to the degree of if I walk in these 5 bars, people inside probably know who I am. The second I step out those doors, I'm nobody, and I'm the bug guy by day, you know. So whatever, we go into Target, we're walking out, and as we're walking out, a girl who used to work at that bar is walking in, and the first thing she says, she's like, oh my God, is that Danny Corey from Room 13? And I'm like, hey, how's it going? And she's just like, good. And we're walking fast. We're both on mission, so it was that simple. Yeah. She goes her way, I go mine. We get in the car. My daughter gets in the car, and she goes, I told you.
Nice.
I'm happy with that level, though.
Perfect timing.
I saw that girl a couple weeks later, and I was like, that couldn't have been more perfect because I probably get recognized outside of a bar in public maybe 5 times a year. You know, out of 365 days, it's a very low percentage. But
it's perfect for your daughter too.
I know.
That was perfect.
She's convinced now. She's like, no, you kind of are famous. So I dug up, I was in a commercial many moons ago for when Gibraltar Trade Center was doing bike night. They filmed. What did you ever get to play a bike night?
Nope.
Oh man,
I saw you guys, but I never played.
Yeah, we did a few closing nights there when they would auction off the bike. There'd be like 1,400 people there. Really cool till the bike got auctioned off, and then everyone fucking left. But it felt cool at the time.
We got to do it in the DL too.
Yeah, we did it there once there. And I mean, even on a regular night, you were looking at 500 to 800 people most times. But so they filmed a commercial when I first joined Room 13. They filmed a commercial there, and we're sitting there, and they probably filmed for 20 minutes or so. In the commercial, there's like a millisecond of us, enough to see me bang my head once. And I pulled that up later that night, and I was like, look, I was in a commercial. She doesn't even, she's like, where? Finally, I managed to pause it at the right time after like 6 tries. And I'm like, right there. And she's like, see, you are famous. Yeah. Now I'm just going with it. She's, whatever, you think I'm a rock star, kid.
Right. Roll with it as long as you can.
Right. But I guess it looks like we're getting relatively close to the end here. But, Ricky gave me the go-ahead. My producer gave me the go-ahead. So, the screensaver. I don't know if the screensaver affects it or not, but we had some technical difficulties earlier. No, we've still got a little bit of time, but what I wanted to kind of skip ahead to is we did this on the last show, and it seemed to be everybody's favorite part is a segment. We're going to have to make like some music for this segment of the show, but stories of our failures. Get some dreamy music going there. Okay, that's a good one. Hang on, before we do this, I should probably get a beer. Hang on, because these stories could be long and good. Shane, do you have any stories of your failures?
Not yet.
No,
it doesn't even need to be failures.
I mean,
it could just be embarrassing moments on stage.
I got a couple of those.
Yeah,
that's basically what it is.
I think that's where it comes back to I haven't been doing it for that long.
Right. So you haven't fallen down, or?
I'm waiting. I mean, I've fallen my ass quite a few times in Nashville. I'm already ready for that.
Here's a question, actually, that I skipped that reminds me of people falling down. But what is your feeling on sit-ins? As a drummer, I find that sit-ins, it's the hardest guy to get up, really, to change. Yeah. You know, as a singer, I remember going to see, it was Under the Covers, who Under the Covers is an awesome band, and their singer back in the day, Larry, he would be singing, and he would literally just hand the mic off and walk away. Yeah. Like someone would be on the dance floor singing the words to him, and he must have known them, so he knew they could sing, but it'd be someone I never knew. Like, it could be some middle-aged woman. It could be some dude in a tie and a dress shirt, and he would just be singing, and he'd pass the mic off. He'd just leave the stage. It was hilarious.
I'm pretty sure we played with Under the Covers together once.
Oh, yeah?
I'm pretty sure we did.
Where in?
Me and you, I think at Winners.
You're right.
I think we did Talk Dirty to Me.
You're right. I remember that. They got you up and me up at the same time. Yeah. Those guys are great, and they've changed lineups a few times, just like we all have cover bands over time. You do it. They're still great. I still recommend them to anybody. But sit-ins, and I'm going to grab a beer. Don't be alarmed. I'm still listening. But what's your thought on sit-ins? How do you feel about them? Some guys are okay. Some guys don't. Some guys have opinions.
Personally, I really don't care. I'm not one of those guys that's like, don't even fucking look at my drums. Like, I'm not like
ever touch my drum set. You understand?
Don't go in there.
Don't touch it!
All right.
There. I was at about 6 there. You don't want to see me go to 10.
I meet so many people like that. I'm like, why though?
Real anal.
And I'm like, why though? Because most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, if somebody wants to play, it's not their fucking first time playing the drums.
Right.
It's not like you're going to have to worry about somebody just going to town and breaking all your cymbals. And it's just, I think people are just so uppity about it. Like, it's not, quite frankly, and I pee a lot too, so I will call a lot of people up. Like if Sean's in the crowd or Bob Harvey. I'm like, I gotta pee. This is perfect timing. And like, it doesn't, and it's like, a lot of people have been around doing it for a long time, but no matter how long you do it, it's still cool when somebody's like, hey, come up here and play with us. So I call people up all the time. It doesn't bother me.
I think it shows unity in the scene, and you're promoting each other a little bit. Also, yes, the pee song thing is very real.
It's great, and I'm always like, do Seven Nation Army. You can do it for 25 minutes, and I have plenty of time to go pee.
Yes.
For me, which is really what every time I've ever had yeah, man, come sit in, blah, 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 blah. With me also being a singer, dude, like I do it, and I do it a lot with singing and playing drums at the same time. But because I'm not a front guy, so I don't ever really get that all that often.
Right.
So when someone wants to sit in, I've done it plenty of times. Like, dude, come sit in, so I can actually come to the front, and people can actually see my fucking face.
Yeah, and I don't think I never ask ever. I think I think that's what draws the line. I think you don't walk in and be like, hey, maybe I can play next set. Like, no, because now you're definitely not going to. Because maybe I saw you and I was like, oh, I'll call you up next set. But I think that's kind of rude.
Hey, can I play, man?
I have no problem. Yeah, I have no problem if you
man, hey, dude, can I play?
Yeah, right.
Can I play?
There's kind of a code, and I guess that's it. It's like, it's an invite-only scenario where
like the backhanded compliments too.
Because you never know what's going on,
right?
Like with the night and the band, and who knows?
We might be in funny tunings. We might be this or that. For like if a former member of Room 13 comes in and there's I know I've said my own band name a lot on this podcast.
Yeah,
I'm really not trying
to.
I'm really not trying to self promote. I should have said my band. I apologize.
Fuck your band, man.
Yeah. I earned that. I apologize. If a former member comes in, I always want to try my best to get them up because it's respect. They were there before me or during me. I know that they're going to do a good job and things like that. So it's fine. I want to get them up. Sometimes, though, exactly that. Sometimes the night you're in a groove, you just don't have the time to stop.
Yeah.
I always view it like a balloon blowing up and inflating, and you don't want that balloon to pop, but you want it to be inflated to max capacity, and you want to sustain that as long as you can. And when you're having that moment, and I guess that's to people who maybe, if you don't get invited up, sometimes that's really what it is. It's like there's a groove. We can't kill the momentum at this moment, and sometimes that moment just doesn't come. A lot of times I'll still wait. If it's like, okay, by the end of the night, usually things are starting to calm back down, so that's a good time to get people up. But it does get irritating, especially when you got the guy who maybe doesn't have a band, who you don't know from Adam, who's just coming up like, hey, man, yeah, I'm really good, dude. Let me do a couple. What's on the list? What's on the list? And it's like,
he's the guy with like the backhanded compliments too. It's like, oh, your snare sounds great. Maybe I can play it.
Right?
Okay, no. I don't know. I think, and I'm very mindful too. If somebody calls me up, they're like, well, what do you want to do? Here's the list. And I'm like, what? I always say, what don't you want me to do? Because there's those songs, Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy, Crazy Bitch, Uptown Funk, like those ones will flood the dance floor and the energy shoots up. I don't want to take that away from that drummer. And, some people are like, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Play whatever you want. But I think that's part of it too. I think you have to treat it like someone's letting you do their job.
Sure.
For a little bit.
I guess for me, it's like if I'm on the stage and we've got a guy filling in on a different instrument, obviously you're trying to not take away from the person, the guy that you're filling in for the song or sitting in for. It's not so much a big deal of if the song's going to work or not. It's more of a big deal of once that song works, now we got to change.
Right.
So now we got to stop.
Right.
Whereas when you get people out to dance, you want to keep that momentum.
Right.
So, yeah, that's an interesting thing.
I've even met guys that are like, we do benefits and someone doesn't show up with their stool and they forget and they're like, fuck that guy, you can't use my stool. I'm like, what is the point in that? Like, I've met people like that, and I'm like, we did one benefit and the kid needed like everything. Like, there was miscommunication, and people that run benefits don't always tell you what you need to bring, right? And he needed cymbals, a throne, a kick pad. I mean, he needed everything. And I'm like, dude, I don't care. Go ahead.
Whatever.
I'm like, some people are like, people came up to me during that. They're like, you're letting him use your cymbals? I'm like, yeah, the kid needs them. Like, I'm not going to be the asshole guy that now his band can't play because he forgot his cymbals. Like, it's
they're
crazy.
meant to get fucking hit. That's what they're designed for. Like, unless you're going to light them on fire or something and melt them. I mean, if they're going to break, they're probably going to break.
Right, and if I'm in the bar, I'm not bringing, a pasty, ultra-thin jazz ride with me.
Right.
Like, so if someone's going to sit in, they're not going to break it because I don't have my jazz ride with me. Like, people just need to, I don't know, I think people need to relax.
And surprisingly, dude, back in the original days, dude, we're, constantly playing shows, and that actually happened to me a couple times where something has broke and other dudes were like, oh, dude, here you go, or vice versa.
You have to.
Yeah, like, here's a stand, here's a this, here's a that, and it was always cool back in the day.
Shit happens, and it's like that's the thing too. It's like someone will make it seem like, oh, well, you're not prepared to this or that. It's like, you don't know that guy. Like, you're always
he
prepared.
He might have been having the
shit.
shittiest day. Like, his kid might be sick. His dog just died. Like, you don't know what. He might be having the shittiest day.
All he had left to redeem that day was that gig,
right.
And you won't lend him a freaking drum stool.
I know. It's crazy to me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Fucked up.
I'm cool with sit-ins. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cool with them overall. There's just, I guess that's because I think everyone's cool with them. It's just there's certain types and times where it's like, look, man, if you're trying to use this as exposure, go find an open jam, man. Don't sit here and pester the band. There was a particular bar that I think we all know of where you were going to get pestered every time you were there by certain clientele. And it's like, man, and oftentimes he'd be like, I'm just trying to get exposure. It's like, well, go to an open jam. Honestly, if you want to join a band, that's exactly what you did. At an open jam, that's the place, because there's musicians looking for musicians at an open jam. You will find them fast, much faster than sitting in. Even if the band that you're sitting in with is very well established, majority of the musicians in the room are on the stage. So the people outside, they're not going to go tomorrow and be like, oh man, that guy that filled in on the drums, we're going to find him a band. You're just much better to... Right. And we've had situations where guys get up and they fall off the drum stage or something, and you've had it too.
It happened.
Probably same guy.
Yeah. Literally, dude. Like,
we've got
like backwards.
That was Sean.
Sean was backwards, and Sean didn't fall, but someone fell, and you've been on Sean's throne, so like behind him. If you look down in that pit, there's wires running. Pretty much the lifeblood of everything is back there.
I get scared climbing behind his drums.
Especially when he's got the extra riser. He's up high. Oh.
And then mine, we were at a place, and the stage was shapely weird, so I had to set my stage up weird. And I had to use a bar chair to around the side to jump on and to get on my stage.
God.
Yeah, so coming down did not go well.
It sounds dangerous. Jeez.
What's going on here?
Yeah, it is dangerous.
Drum stages, dude. Yeah,
they're dangerous.
They'll kill you.
And it's the hardest thing. Like, if it's a guitar, I can throw a guitar over a guy's shoulder, and here's what this pedal does. Do. Go ahead. But when it's drums, you got to get the guy up and back there. Again, not against it. It's just the timing's got to be right for that to work.
You can't, and I think you can't spend 5 minutes moving everything.
You're
going to play with what's up there. I mean, I have to sometimes because I have short arms.
Ah, man,
so
I
like
feel your
depending
pain.
on who calls me up, I can't reach the cymbals. I just physically can't. So I have to pull them a little closer. But most of the time, don't touch the shit. Just play.
Yeah.
And go.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess in conclusion, and I figured that it's not. I don't know anybody that's against sit-ins, so I think we're all on the same page there. There's a time and a place, and I feel like, again, it's almost there's a band there doing a job, like, you know, it's kind of an invite scenario.
Yeah.
Don't come up and ask and beg, especially if you don't know the band, you know. I'm always good with getting people up and wanting to get them up, especially if it's another band to promote their band.
Right.
Hey, you know, they're going to be here at the same bar because we all frequent the same places. They're going to be here in 2 weeks, so check them out. Got no problem with it, but just kind of a code of honor, I guess, there.
So I know I don't know if we got off topic, but I know we
got off topic a few times.
Okay,
I'm okay with it. I
okay.
love getting off topic.
We're going to talk about failures.
Yeah, I was going to bring us back. Do you have one?
I do. I got a couple. Yeah.
Drum failures.
Yeah.
They don't have to be drum failures.
No, it's a drum. I got a couple drum failures, but I got a good one that you guys never, well, at least Schofield never lets it down.
Oh, okay.
He always reminds me of it. I guess that's fair because we don't ever let him
live anything down. The poor guy in his introverted junk.
So, it's kind of I don't know why everything goes back to the original scene back of our original band. Maybe just because I was more hyper back then and younger. I don't know. But
yeah, we were young and stupid. So,
but there was a time we were playing St. Andrews Hall in Detroit, and I don't know if it was the first
July. It was the first one.
It was the first one?
I think if you're talking about what I think you're talking about, it was July.
No, I think it was the second time.
March?
I think it was the second time that it happened.
Really? Because July, it was hotter than hell in there.
Was it? That was the first time?
Yes, it was July. I remember we had that gig. We played at 3.
We played two. We played two,
and then
shows
we played
in one
at
day.
a skating rink that same night. And the guy who ran the skating rink was so pissed. Oh, he motherfucked me a couple times.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! You're cool, and fuck you! I'm out.
I don't know. I think he had high blood pressure, number one. I really... This was 10 years ago. I hope he got it under control by now. But he also... he had just started booking bands, and he was... I guess I do get it to a degree. It's kind of a weird situation in an original band, though, because like you're booking me and not paying me.
Right.
But you want me to bring a shit ton of people. So, in the meantime, I'm trying to get exposure... because I'm not fucking getting paid, so at the very least, I can get exposure. And back then, the mentality was play everywhere and anywhere that'll fucking have us.
Yep.
And so we booked the skating rink first. And then St. Andrews called like a week later, or whoever was booking that show at St. Andrews. It was like a big band showcase thing. And I was like, we got to play that show. It's St. Andrews. Every band I love, I see at St. Andrews.
Yeah.
Why would I not play there? Because even really, I mean, and this is going to sound cheap, and maybe I'm opening up the curtain to the frickin' what the Wizard of Oz actually looks like. But at the end of the day, we were the first band that time we played there. We played there a few more times and had some great crowds. But that first time, we were the first. Right as the doors were opening, we were playing. So there's probably like 30 people in there. But... at the end of the day,
that's why I'm saying like,
Crestfallen Youth played St. Andrews Hall, so that sounds good.
Either way, whatever time it was, it happened, and maybe because it was so damn hot in there, and there was no air conditioning. I don't know. I really have no idea how this happened. And because during the time, we weren't drinking alcohol or anything like that. We were.
Straight edge.
Straight edge. We were too young even to buy alcohol. So we're playing and we're rocking and rolling, out of control and I think it was we had a fast tune or something and double bass in it and
it was the same song, I think, as. I think it was that. I think it's that same spot. Yes.
Yeah. And as we kicked into it, man, I felt like I was hyperventilating, and we're just going, and then out of nowhere, dude, I just puke. And luckily, I was like, oh shit, here it comes. This is in front of people, and how do I can't stop. So how do I mean, so I just open my legs and I just puke right through my legs.
Perfect.
Just,
I remember that you had a puke spot on your carpet.
it was like a and I didn't miss a fucking beat. I just kept on rolling.
No, Schofield was the one that told me about it afterward.
Yeah.
He's like, he puked. I was watching him. Because I think there's video of that show.
Yeah.
I don't know if it gets the puke or not, though.
I don't know, but that was really fucking strange, and I don't know how that happened. It was really weird.
That's pretty rock and roll, though.
Right?
So...
Yeah, cool. Now you just need to take a horse tranquilizer and play.
Yeah, dude.
Right.
Well, but it's not like, us playing in the bar and being hammered and, you know what I mean?
Right.
It was...
falling off the stage onto a monitor.
Yeah.
That wasn't at a show.
So that was one.
And you were talking earlier about your finger before we started recording, and I think it is in the same spot. So not the same place, but where you broke your finger.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, you're right, dude.
It's the same spot of the same song.
Dude,
that song plagued you. That's why we cut it.
Yeah, that's why we cut it. Yeah, there was another time we were playing out in Port. It was Port Huron, right? I was in Port Huron, Nora Grotto,
Port Huron. Yes.
Yeah. And wow, that's funny that it is that same song. Yep. Wow,
as a cursed song.
Right yeah. We're playing this tune. Maybe it just showed you that we got into it too hard. I don't know. It was the last tune. So maybe you're burnt out, right? And it's just because it's such a heavy song, you're just whipped. But this time again, going about to hit into that part, and we're playing it. And I don't know if you've ever done this, dude. Have you ever just freaking cracked your knuckle, dude, off your snare rim?
Right on the rim. Yep.
Oh.
It's the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah. This, dude, I've done it plenty of times, but for whatever this reason, dude, I was just hitting so hard. Like, I'm a hard player. And when I'm into it, I hit hard. And
he's an emotional player.
Yes.
I would say that when he gets going, you can feel it, and it spreads. It's kind of like what you were saying earlier. Not to cut you off or go on a tangent here, but like kind of how you were talking about the energy. Like you can feel him get energetic through his playing, and it spreads. So
we're playing it, bam, 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 and this is the hardest time I've ever whacked my knuckle off of it, dude, and it just explodes everywhere. Blood. Oh yeah. All over my snare, all over my sticks, all over my hand. And I'm like, oh my God. And we're going, and I'm like, I can't do it no more, man. I can't. It hurt so bad. I'm like, I broke my finger. And I had to stop. Dude, it was so, there was all these kids there.
Terrible feeling.
Yeah, I'm
feeling it now that he's talking about it.
I had to stop.
So bad.
And they were just like, dude, what the hell just happened? Because I just stopped. I was like, I can't do it anymore. Because it hurt so bad.
I don't even recall having to stop, and I think it's just because maybe I suppressed that memory, because any musician, like the first thing you're taught, and this is not a knock on what you did, because you can't play, but it's like, don't stop no matter what happens, don't stop. And apparently we stopped.
Hell yeah. And so there was a couple people who came up and gave me a towel and all that kind of shit. And I was like, I felt so bad. I felt like an idiot.
Yeah, I play with my snare like jazz style, like forward a little bit. So I definitely hit my hand. A lot, like because that back rim is up.
I like playing mine flat.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, that hurt so bad.
And again, I guess And it's like you were saying, maybe a lot of these failures, which I want to try to have failures every show because I think they're fun to talk about. Yeah, that finger is not fucking healed. He is flipping me off with his ring finger.
It's crooked.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's crooked. It's fat, too. It's got a beer belly. That finger's got a beer belly.
It's got emotional baggage.
Yes, it does. Maybe it needs to go to the same therapist that Schofield's junk went to.
I got crooked fingers.
But maybe it does go back to that because we were young and inexperienced. I guess maybe the mistakes aren't quite as frequent as we age. But same thing. This happened at this place called the Internet Cafe in Canton. They booked us. Original bands. Now, in original bands, 99 times out of 100, when you go, there's a PA there.
Yep.
Or somebody's providing stuff. We get there.
It usually sucks ass.
Usually sucks ass. We get there. This owner has no PA, nothing. He's just like, what? It's in Canton. This place does not exist now, so I'm not shit talking. It closed. We go there. He's like, yeah, I've got no PA. Okay. There's like 4 bands coming. All the bands get there, no PA. So we drove all the way back to get a PA. Our
That's
PA.
a shitty drive, too.
It is. It's the 45 minutes. And then we went back, got the PA, set it up real fast, played the show. And because we got the PA, we made sure we had the prime spot. Now, most times in an original band show, in theory, you think going last means you're the headliner. No. Being the headliner means you go right in the middle.
Yep.
You're like 3rd or 4th out of 5 or 6 bands.
You know what's funny, too, is you're right on that, dude. Whatever show, whoever owned that PA, whatever band, they always played that main spot.
Exactly. So we played it. We're rocking out. There's this part in this song that I would play a guitar solo behind my head. I would put it up behind my head, and there was a buddy of ours from high school that used to do it. He's a great guitar player, and he would do that. And he did it differently than I. He would just put it on top of his head. He'd face the crowd so you'd see his face. You couldn't really see his fingers. It didn't matter, though. I mean, it looked cool. He sounded cool. And they kind of stopped playing, so I decided I would rip that trick off, and I would turn around and play it to where you could see my fingers.
Yeah.
So it's one of the first times I ever really did that. We're playing. My buddy Tomas is playing bass. Tomas, one of the greatest, nicest guys you'll ever meet on the planet. Very intelligent guy. One of my best friends in the whole world. He is, I guess I would say, he's kind of got a hippie vibe to him. He's an environmental scientist now. So I mean, he's got the.
Cool.
Last time I saw him, oh yeah, he's a smart guy too. We'll talk about things he's working on, man. He's trying to make changes that the whole world is going to benefit from, which is amazing. He's really doing some amazing things, but he's got that hippie vibe. Last time I saw him, he kind of looked like Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park. Same outfit, hair growing out just enough. He had the glasses on, which he just started wearing glasses recently. I remember going up to him. I'm like, dude, I want you to say,
that is one big pile of shit.
That's one big pile of shit. If you could. And he just laughed. I don't think he ever said it. It's because he knew I was being a dick. But anyway, love the guy. But he spaces the fuck out. He gets in his own zone. And he just gets lost in the music, man. He does not know where he is at that point. So I'm getting ready. I'm a little nervous. Getting ready. The solo's coming. I'm going to fucking melt faces behind my head. Turn around. Guitar over my head. Hit the first note. Gone. Gone. Guitar's gone. Bass is gone. It's just keys and drums now. I'm going to give you this kick-ass guitar solo. Drums are gone. Guitar's gone. Bass is gone. I continue trying to play the solo. I'm trying to walk backwards to my pedals to, like, see if something got muted. I'm looking. No, I look back. He's sitting there tapping his foot on the power outlet.
Oh my God.
On the off switch. He walked over to it, banging his head, playing bass, rocking out, right foot, doing the freaking power stomp.
Oh my God.
He's stomping on the off button. He turned it off. We were off. That was the end of that. So here I am. I already kind of know, being quite frank, that I'm ripping a trick off from somebody else who was doing it that I know. And not to say, I mean, he wasn't the first to do it either. People do it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those tricks now to this day that, like, if you do it, people just look at you like, really, bro? So one of those things where it's slightly embarrassing. I do that. Oh, my God. First time trying it, first time or two. Couldn't have gone any worse.
Wow.
So
he probably was sitting there still rocking out too, not even know
he didn't
even notice.
Yeah,
he didn't.
Like,
he was in the zone. Bass and guitar was still playing in his head.
Yeah.
I'm positive, but it was
not even on, and he's still rocking.
No, not at all. So that was the best thing I could think up for this show was that. I'm sure I'll have more. I'm hoping I don't create new ones, but I could. I'm playing tonight. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
But anyway, I guess the thing I kind of, I don't know if I said we were going to close with failures, but there was one thing I wanted to touch on. I was going to touch on it at the beginning, but the conversation got so good and started rolling that we got kind of off the script, which is fine by me. But something I saw two different posts on Facebook just of negativity. And I just kind of want to close with this. You know, one was about a guy, and the names were not named in these posts. So, but one was about a guy who was just kind of bashing on other bands. You know, he just, okay, this band sucks because of this and that and this, and picking bands apart. And there was another post that I saw of a guy saying something like, I love looking at or I hate, I don't know if he said I love sarcastically or if he said I hate, but it was like seeing my friends that are in cover bands playing on these quote unquote stages under these lights and they think they look cool, and it's like, bro, you didn't make it. And I guess number one, I want to say we know we didn't make it. A lot of us don't care, as we said earlier, that we didn't make it. It's really not that we're for some of us, I think the dream was to play music that people like and want to hear, even if it's not your own. But the fact that you can play in a bar where people specifically come out to see you, like, for me, that's fulfillment at this point in my life. I don't need DTE Energy Music Theater sold out. When I was 10, yeah, that's what I wanted. Now that, as I'm an older man...
I mean, sorry, dude.
No, go ahead.
You look back and, okay, yeah, DTE would have been awesome. State Theater would have been awesome. But guess what? I got to headline and sell out Emerald Theater. I got to sell out certain halls in Detroit. I got to sell out this, and this. That's still a great fucking feeling.
It is. I think even if you didn't do those things, but you play at a bar. You play at a bar where there's, it's at capacity or it's close. All the seats are filled and the dance floor's packed.
You're playing music to strangers
who are seeking you out because they like what you do and appreciate what you do. And that, to me, validates all the hours I spent trying to get it down and be adequate at it,
Yeah.
So I don't think, and I'm not trying to call anybody out or be a dick, it's just I want to say, like, if you think a lot of us are delusional, and maybe some are delusional, maybe there are guys that are too big for their britches, but the reality of it is, I talk to a lot of guys in the scene, 99% of them, we know what we are, we know what we do it because we love it.
Yeah, love of the passion, man. Love of the passion.
I mean, there's no delusions there. I think that as long as you're getting something out of it, it's fulfilling. To me, it's fulfilling. I'm happy where I'm at. Shane wants to pursue it further. And
which is fucking great, dude.
And he's going to. But I mean, even that, like you were saying, like you're not necessarily banking on, I'm going to be backing up Tim McGraw or Luke Bryan. You just want to take it to the next level. I don't think I don't think anyone else can judge whether or not you made it but yourself. You know, did you make it to a point where you're happy with? If you did, good.
Shane, like you were saying, like, dude, I don't know where I'm going to end up down there. So let's say you are able to score a gig, a bar gig that you're playing 5 nights a week. And let's say that's kind of where you go for a long time or a while. Would still be satisfied to you?
I just want to play.
Right.
I mean, like, it
right.
doesn't
That's
really...
all that's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
It took me a long time to realize that that's the only thing I'm, that I want to do or that I'm actually good at. So it's like, I don't know where it's going to go.
I think that's all of us, man. That's what we were talking about earlier when we were in school, dude. I just want to play.
Exactly.
That's what I enjoy.
Exactly.
So I don't care that I'm not famous and blah 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 and
no, and again, as you get older, it's like, nor do maybe I want it.
Right. I'm happy with what I got.
What I dreamt as a kid and what I'm happy with now are two different things. You know, there was a time when I wanted to be a professional wrestler, or I wanted to be, there were a lot of things I wanted to be that I never put in motion to even become. I put this in motion I remember watching videos of your dad playing, and, they're playing on a stage and the dance floor's packed, and we're just watching the video, and it's a show.
Yeah.
And they weren't playing at Little Caesars Arena. Well, back then it would have been like Joe Louis Arena. But either way, they're not playing they're playing DB Cooper's, and it's packed, and it looked like and I remember thinking, like, I would be happy with that.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with putting good production and putting a show on to locals.
Right, and I guess that's the thing, and I'm sure that the guy...
And if people are looking at that like, oh, well, you're trying to look famous or like you made it or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course you want to look like that.
You want to, look professional, yeah.
It's exactly what I was going to say. I'm trying to look professional.
Yeah.
That's it. That's why I'll post those pictures, is to want to... And the guy who posted this was a friend of a friend. We don't even know each other.
I missed the post. I'm going to have to
look at it. It's up there. But either way, there's that. And then just the guy, don't be the guy. I'll tell you how to help yourself and help your attitude, because I'm not saying to anyone specifically. I'm saying this in general to people. Because I used to be this way when I was young, even before I was in bar bands, and probably in my early 20s, I'd come in and I'd see bands and I would just try to figure out why they sucked.
Right.
It's an arrogant, egotistical insecurity thing is what it is at the end of the day. I would try to be like, well, yeah, these guys, the bar's packed. Or sometimes you come in and see a band on a dead night and then it's easy to shit on them. It's easy to say, oh, it's dead, so... these guys suck. No one wants to see them. Where it's like, maybe they played 6 shows this month and 5 of them were packed. And here's the one dead one that you're here for. And I guess ultimately, regardless of any of that, I think you will help yourself the most, as opposed to taking the approach of, well, these guys suck. Well, the guitar player, or the vocalist.
Sitting there picking everything out.
Yeah, because we could all do that to each other. We're all at a level where we could all pick each other apart if we wanted to. But really, I think where you're going to find the most benefit is looking at that band and looking out at the crowd. And even if there's 5 people in there, but they're enjoying themselves, try to figure out why those 5 people are there. Try to figure out what it is about this band that drew these people through the door. You can learn through that. You can learn through, hey, they've got this going for them. They got that going for them. Sure, it's not their best night crowd-wise, but they bring something to the table, and I think it's almost your job to look for that. And if you can't find anything, I think that maybe there's a problem from within at that point. I think maybe there's
someone's a little bitter.
Little bit of bitterness.
Bitter in life. He probably wakes up every day and wants to speak to the manager at Meyer.
Exactly. Well, you're trying to self-justify, and you're wanting to go in and go, well, we're better than them, or I'm better. A lot of people with this attitude, I find, don't play as much as they'd like to. And it's the reality of it is maybe that problem starts with the person in the mirror.
Yep.
More so than anything else. So maybe figure out what it is. These bands are getting booked. These bands are playing. They're doing what they do. Maybe they're not hitting a grand slam every time, but you know what? That's hard to do, you know. Even in baseball, a good batting average is, you know, high 200s or 300s. That means you're hitting the ball 3 out of 10 times. You know, you're not always going to hit a grand slam every time.
Yeah, I say fuck that shit, dude. Let negativity roll off your back, dude, and keep doing and keep thriving.
Exactly.
Of what you want to do, man. Just keep going at it.
Agreed. You're booked. You're playing. To the people who are being picked apart in these situations, you know, don't let it get to you, because you know your worth. You know what you're doing. You've been doing it. Keep doing it. So I want to say thank you guys for that. I want to say thank you all for listening again. Please tell your friends. Please spread the word. Big thank you to Mr. Shayne McGuire for coming in. Yes. He's got a gig to go to tonight because he is still working. He's a working man.
Working man.
So he's going to go play up in Port Huron tonight. We'll see you soon. Thank you so very much. Okay. Love it, rock it, own it, my friends. Peace. Oh, yeah.